Hi, this is K-Bar User. I'd like to have a little conversation with y'all. It's about the old and new. Recently I was going through my stuff, and you'll see it on another video, where I've got tons of stuff. Bushcrafting stuff, hunting stuff, you name it, camping stuff. And I thought about it. And this is the odd part. When I was a youngster, circa 74 to 78, 1974 it is, not 1874. Anyway, when I was a youngster, typical weekends would be to, come home, grab my camping gear, go with the guys, 2 or 3 of us to get together on a Friday afternoon on the way home on a bus or whatever. So, especially if it was a Thursday. We were adventurers then. And, let's go here, let's go there, let's do this, let's do that. Now, at that time, in the town I live in now, everybody knew each other. So, although we thought we were adventurers, when we left our property here and we went, over the mountain to the next property over, they knew who we were. They called our parents, let them know, hey, I just seen Tom and the guys go through. They're safe. Wherever we wound up for the night, which was usually along a creek, my parents would get a call from whoever, the boys are camped down by the creek, I'll check on them later, they're all right. We never knew this, but we thought, we were big adventurers. So this is the equipment we took with us. Now remember, this is high tech for that time. If somebody was lucky enough to have waterproof matches, we took that. Generally, we took a book of matches that you pick up, in the store. We'd get a book of matches between us, maybe a can of Campbell's soup or, Campbell's pork and beans or whatever food you can grab that your mother would let you take from the house. I had a pair of combat boots. I don't ever remember not having boots. So I typically had a pair of combat boots, a pair of blue jeans, or the old patch pocket green army fatigues, which came later. So it was typically blue jeans, say between 74 and 76. If it was this time of year, it was getting chilly at night, you grabbed the coat or you grabbed the sweater, and a blanket. You waited till your mother had a junk blanket and you asked her if you could have it, and that was your camping bag. You threw that all together and you grabbed, if you had a knife, you grabbed your knife and you left. At that time, us 12, 13-year-old kids, we weren't allowed to take guns. Matter of fact, we had to ask our parents' permission to even play with our guns. You pick it up and look at it or admire it or whatever. No. You didn't touch your guns unless Dad said, what do you want it for? I want to just look at it. Is there a reason why? No, I just want to admire it. Now and then he'd say yes. Typically it was no, and that's the way it was. It was no. Same thing with knives. I had an Imperial fish knife. That was my hunting knife. That was my fishing knife. That was my pocket knife. That was my whittling knife. That was, you name it. Nobody ever told us then, that's not the knife. It's what we had. So we used it. I had my father's, and I still do have it. You see it on one of my videos on World War II stainless canteen. No case, no cup. You tied a rope around it if you wanted to carry it, or you just carried it by the canteen itself, or you threw it in you put all your stuff in the middle of the blanket that you had, rolled it up, tied it with a piece of string, flung it over your back like a hobo. You know what happened? None of us died. We had a great time. Made a lot of great memories for ourselves. Now, where I lived at the time, there's 3 freshwater brook trout streams then. So we typically carried a small fishing kit. So if you knew what you were doing and you were a fisherman, you had brook trout for everybody, fresh from the stream. And maybe, I brought beans, and maybe the next guy brought a can of soup, and maybe the other guy brought a can of, raviolis. I have no, I don't even think raviolis was out then. I think it was Chef Boyardee's beefaroni. Or he had canned spaghetti with cheese sauce. I remember that one too. But everybody got together with their food supplies. You got a couple of fish. Nobody died. Nobody had a hardship. Nobody had a... That's the way we went. Nowadays, I see kids going camping, and it's the equivalent of... it's the equivalent of what I had in the service. And they got stoves, they've got backpacks, they've got ammunition pouches, they have guns, knives. They have... I think I was in my late teens, maybe mid-teens. And the guy up the road here gave me a K-bar. I thought I was in 7th heaven because that was a knife. It was a Navy issue, came in a plastic sheath, had its own sharpener in there. It was a great knife. Got stolen from me. But I was like 15, 16 years old. When I was 12, I joined the Boy Scouts. My brother bought me a backpack, not a backpack, but a sleeping bag. I guess you would call it a hobo tool. It's a knife, fork, like Boy Scout thing. I still have it. Yeah, and I think that's all the camping equipment I had. And then I got the green army fatigues, the shirt with just the 2 pockets, the patch fatigue pockets, pair of combat boots. Now they have a fancy name for them. They're called airborne jump boots. Then they were combat boots. And that's what you went fishing with. That's what you went camping, hunting, I didn't have I had a Zebco 303, or no, I'm sorry, Zebco 33 fishing reel my brother gave me, and he bought me a pole for it because I didn't have a pole. When I was about 12, I guess, 11. So yeah, you appreciated what you had, and you used what you had until you didn't have it anymore, until you basically wore it out. Them green fatigues within a couple of years became a holy mess of patchwork. I made my own camouflage. So I just wanted to bring a little insight into, circa 1970, mid-70s, I guess, 80s. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't take iPads with us. If I'm not mistaken, I did have a friend with an AM/FM radio. And we couldn't get FM up here, so we listened to the ball games on AM radio. We didn't have iPods. We didn't have laptops we could carry with us. We didn't have any of that. The funny part is we all lived. I take a phone off of a kid now, and my God, the world has collapsed. But the whole thing is, though, during that time frame, you interacted with other people. You didn't interact with a text message. If your mom and dad couldn't get a hold of you, you were told to be back at a certain time. If you weren't back at 4 o'clock, you didn't call home and say, "Oh, Janie wanted me to stay longer." No, you were back at 4 o'clock, or your parents were looking for you, and God forbid they caught you. Or you rode your bicycle wherever you wanted to go. There was no, Mom, would you take me? Dad, would you take me? You walked or you rode your bicycle if you had one. But you interacted with people. I mean, summers were, they're typical 90, 100-degree summers. You went down to the local swing hole. There was 4 of them here. There was Compton's Pond. There was Edwards's hole down here in the creek. Down the other way, there was, what we used to call the Big Bend hole, which was about 15 foot deep. It was a bend in the one creek. We had a monkey rope across there, and the water was cold. I mean, for a 100-degree day, you're jumping into 50-degree water. That was spring-fed creeks. It was cold. He'd come out of there shiver and jump right back in. But yeah, them are just memories I had. What we had when we were kids. When we went hunting, it wasn't. I didn't take a Benelli hunting. I still have. It's a Bay State 911. It was made in 1911. Single barrel 12 gauge. That was my grandfather's. He gave it to my father. He took it apart and put it away. When I was 12, I come home from school and got off the bus, and my father standing in the yard with a weird-looking gun. And that's the one that used to be upstairs. And walked up into the yard, and he said to me, "Well, tomorrow's hunting season." "Yeah." "You got your license?" "Yeah." You had a canvas hunting jacket, and whatever pants or shoes you had, that's what you went with. If you had sneakers, you went hunting sneakers. If you had blue jeans, you went hunting blue jeans. Which I believe no, I had the green fatigues by then, so I went with green fatigues. So he handed me the gun, he said, "This is yours." Wow, I was in 7th heaven, man. I had my first gun, And the other ones was always my brothers, or my brother-in-laws, or my uncles, or my dad's. Handed me 4 or 5 shells, and he said, "You see that paper bag?" "Yeah." It was like a paper bag this big out in the yard. Luncheon bag, cut in half. He said, "Now, why don't you hit that bag?" I said, "Don't this kick?" He said, "Don't worry about it. You won't feel it. Just pull the trigger." Boom, bag flies to pieces. He instructed me how to hold it, and everything else, I didn't listen, of course. But that's what I hunted with till I was probably 15 years old. It was a single barrel 12 gauge. Killed everything. Rabbits, pheasants, squirrels, deer. I didn't have a deer rifle. You put slugs in the 12 gauge. You only need one gun. That's my dad's way of thinking. He used the Mossberg 500 since 1968 till 1996 when he passed away, and fired everything out of it, including slugs for deer. One gun, that's it. I always told me you need 2 knives. You need a pocket knife, you need a belt knife. You need a .22 rifle. You need a 12 gauge shotgun. And if you'd like a deer rifle, he wasn't opposed to having a deer rifle, and you needed a .22 pistol. That was it. That's all the hunting equipment you needed in your life. When it wore out, buy a new one. If it didn't wear out, don't buy anymore. I didn't listen. So, just a little insight as to what it was like then compared to now. So, this is K-Bar User. I want to thank you for your time and your patience, and I hope you enjoyed my little story and my little comparison here. So, you all have a good night. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you not subscribed and you see the video, subscribe. I appreciate it. And you all have a good night.